Tears of the Kingdom's mysteries have been laid bare for a couple of months now as of the recording of this video. But prior to the game's release, many theories and wild speculation haunted the comment sections of Zelda content. Some of these theories were fairly well thought out, but plenty of them were fueled by cope and headcanon. In today's video, we'll go over 10 theories that were debunked in Tears of the Kingdom. A few of you may have predicted that this point would be front and center in this video. The theories about Midna, the Twili, and related subjects cropped up from the moment we were all shown the sequel to Breath of the Wild was in development. From that point onward, folks have been trying to tie factors from Tears of the Kingdom to the events of Twilight Princess and the Twilight People. One popular theory was that the enigmatic Zonai's true identities were the Interlopers, the race of magic-wielding beings who were banished to the Twilight Realm by the gods. Another theory would claim that the green Zonai magic was proof of a connection to the Twilight. There were claims that the geoglyphs depicted Twilight artwork, or that the Master Sword shown in the Tears of the Kingdom logo was actually a Twilight-enhanced blade, and those rumors ran rampant for a while. Suffice it to say, not a single bit of this held any water. I won't dwell on this topic for too long, but if you want to hear a bit more about why Midna and the Twilight never had a chance of returning in this game, my fellow Rated N members Andy and Anthony made a video where they vent about the subject. A link to the video will be provided in the description. The only real Twilight-related content we ended up getting was former Amiibo exclusive items like the Midna and Zant helmets. The Sword of Six Sages was renamed to be called the Dusk Claymore, and the Twilight Bow was renamed and retooled as the Dusk Bow. These details weaken the connection to Twilight Princess. After the first teaser was shown for the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, fans were immediately drawn to Princess Zelda's new look. Her adventurous garb combined with her apparent separation from Link led many fans to believe that this was Nintendo setting the stage for a playable Princess Zelda in the new title. Conversations speculated about what kind of abilities she might have at her disposal. Would she still have her sealing powers? Would she be the one to rescue Link this time? Perhaps she would use the Sheikah Slate in a manner similar to her appearance in Age of Calamity. Comparisons were made to the modding community's work with the Linkle model in Breath of the Wild. Armors, weapons, and animations from this gave the theory staying power in the minds of fans. In the end, Playable Zelda did not become a thing for Tears of the Kingdom. However, what they did with her character was impressive in its own right. But if you really want to play as the princess, you can always turn to Hyrule Warriors. We'll get to that a bit later, but while we're on the topic of Princess Zelda, a lot of people watched the trailers and saw Zelda plummet into the void when Ganondorf began to awaken. In the first teaser, Link appeared to grab her hand and save her from falling, but future trailers would show Zelda fall into the darkness and Link fail to save her. This led many to believe that Zelda may have actually died. This wasn't a far-fetched idea. After all, in Spirit Tracks, Zelda is in a ghost form throughout the game. In some fans' minds, this was close enough to being dead and was proof that Nintendo wasn't afraid to go there with their characters. Eiji Aonuma even mentioned that Tears of the Kingdom would be a dark entry in the series, and this statement did a lot to drive this theory forward. The Sheikah Tapestry makes an appearance in both of Zelda's latest entries into the series. In fact, this tapestry revealed the backstory of Breath of the Wild, and this allowed the community to learn details about the plot of the game early. The artwork depicts two prominent characters, a princess wielding her sacred power, and a hero. However, the hero did not look as one might expect with the traditional green tunic and blonde hair. Instead, long flame-red hair flowed from the hero, and other details like his glowing hand made him appear to be someone besides Link. Many ideas were tossed around, but the theory I saw most often was that this could be a good Ganondorf, due to the matching hair color between the two. I always considered it strange that this theory would get any traction at all, but apparently many theorists were very open-minded. It turns out that we do find out who the figure in the tapestry really was. In Tears of the Kingdom, you can receive a reward for completing every shrine in the game called the Ancient Hero's Aspect. This armor mantles Link with the spirit of a past hero, and gives him a surprisingly unexpected form. Several characters in the game comment about how Link resembles the ancient hero on the tapestry when wearing this armor. When the first official trailer released, it opened showing us a mural with a mysterious, foreign-looking creature carved into a stone relief. There were shots that showed this being and its relationship to a Hylian woman, who at the time was thought to be some form of Princess Zelda. The identity of this creature appeared to be divine, and it quickly became a topic of prominent discussion. Some speculated that this was a dark god. Others noted the long ears and face, and made connections to the Lord of the Mountains, Satori. While there were several other theories about who this character might be, the one most actively touted was that this was actually Hylia herself. The claims were that the mural was depicting Hylia channeling her power to Zelda, and that this would be a primary plot point of the game. There were some aspects of the mural theories that were correct, such as the secret stones being connected to the sages. However, the leaked art book shattered the theory that this being was Hylia, and revealed that the person in the mural was a Zonai named Rauru, the first king of Hyrule, and the woman shown by his side was his wife, Queen Sonia. The Zonai question was probably the single most discussed Zelda topic after Breath of the Wild's release. The idea of a mysterious race was enough to keep fans engaged in the series through what many considered to be a drought in the content. At some point, it became a joke within the fandom that bringing up the dreaded Z word would open the floodgates to conspiracy theories. I'm sure that at some point, nearly every single people in the Zelda universe had been accused of secretly being the Zonai. I can recount a few examples that I witnessed. The Zora, the Wind Tribe, a progenitor race from which all others stemmed, Wizrobes, ancient Lurelin villagers, the Cobble Kingdom, and of course, the aforementioned Twilight interlopers. It was inevitable that these theories would all be debunked when the game released. However, it's these kind of mysteries that Nintendo tries to leave unanswered, specifically for the purpose of letting fans have things to discuss. There's no doubt that while this approach may leave us unsatisfied, it certainly spurs us to keep the series relevant during times where we go without fresh content. Nintendo had teamed up with Koei Tecmo in releasing Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. This game was marketed as revealing the backstory to the events of Breath of the Wild, but ended up being something a bit different than that. Nintendo was heavily involved in the development process and went to great lengths to support the game during this time. There were plenty of theorists who predicted that the events that took place in Age of Calamity would be reflected in a concrete way in Tears of the Kingdom. Some expected more than references and were predicting explicit story segments to be followed up on. Among those theories, the prevalent idea was that Terrako, the timeline-splitting guardian, would be acknowledged in Tears of the Kingdom's story, and that this would prove, once and for all, that Hyrule Warriors is canon. The truth, however, is that Age of Calamity's events would not only be ignored, but they would contradict the history of Hyrule expressed in the new title. At best, it could be argued that some inspiration was taken from the Warriors game. For example, Tulin's Tornado, or the youthful design of Purah. Otherwise, the question of Age of Calamity being canon is not supported by Tears of the Kingdom. Here's one small theory that we at Rated N were guilty of getting wrong. Throughout the years leading up to the game's release, the Zelda community began referring to the teardrop-shaped Magatamas as the Tears. At the time, it seemed like a perfectly logical conclusion to make. However, after the release of the game, we would all realize that we were mistaken. A major story mission revolved around seeking out the tears. Those tears shed by the Light Dragon were the true tears of the kingdom. People before Link had encountered the memories held within them, and they created the geoglyphs around their landing places. This was likely done to assist Link in the far future. The Magatama that were mistaken for the tears were actually the secret stones. The stones were ancient relics given by the Zonai to the sages in order to amplify their natural abilities. Although the shape does resemble a tear, they were not the namesake of the game. Nearing the end of this list is a popular theory that got completely debunked. Long before this game released, folks had speculated that Demise, the final antagonist of Skyward Sword, could make an appearance in a future title. Once the final story trailer showed a dark figure with long red hair that seemed to be ablaze, people were assertive in their claims that this was it. Demise had finally returned. Explanations for this said that Demise had taken over Ganondorf's body. For a while, they had thought that Demise could still be dwelling within the Master Sword, waiting for the day that he could escape. The decayed Master Sword would release him and he would threaten the world once again. Everything lined up so perfectly. So it was thought. In reality, this question was answered in Skyward Sword and should have never made it off the ground in the first place. In the present, Demise's obliteration is wished on by the Triforce. In the past, Link destroys him and his residual consciousness is absorbed into the Master Sword. Fi confirms the eradication of Demise, and Impa confirms that the remnants of him are decaying within the Master Sword. Demise even has chances to escape in previous titles. In The Wind Waker, the Master Sword is fully depowered and even reverts to a lesser form. This would have been the perfect chance for some sign of Demise to be added to the game, especially in the HD version. All of this leads me to conclude that Demise is just another Demon King who is gone, and is never coming back. Perhaps the most famous of all the debunked theories on this list is the early attempt of an overzealous fan to decode the swirling Zonai characters seen in the first teaser trailer. Way back in 2019, shortly after this trailer dropped, the claim was made that symbols had been translated into Gerudo's script and spelled out the phrase, "Seal Ganon." While this seemed to be the obvious conclusion of what had happened to the now mummified Ganondorf, this claim came as shocking news to many of the game journalists at the time. Eager to scrape together any story related to the hot topic that is the new Zelda title, these publications spread the theory far and wide. Unfortunately, none of those who wrote these articles bothered to dig any deeper than surface level, and as a result ended up spreading an incorrect translation of the characters. Gerudo's script differs from what the Zonai language uses, and now that we have the final game, we can see those differences clearly. Thank you for watching this Zelda video. If you know of some other theories that were debunked by Tears of the Kingdom, or if you disagreed with any of the examples listed here, let us know in the comments section. My name is Caleb, and until next time, keep it rated in.